Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of What If Civilization Started Over, episode 22. And in this episode first off we'll see a changing of the rankings. We will see more expansion, you'll see some wars, and actually some rebellions. But anyways, let's get right into this episode. So, first off, we have to take a look over here actually, because I need to give the countries over here capitals. And these ones over here. The Norwegians will have theirs over there. The Swedish will have theirs on that island. Reference from a different video of this series, by the way. And yeah, alright, now we can fully start this video. After the collapse of the Russian colony, we will see even more instability happen in Russia as different ideology groups are fighting for independence, and we see that as we see an anarchy. We see an anarchy, a communist, and I will get to the other ideologies later. But the anarchy will actually start up here in the most north regions of Russia, capturing this major city, as well as a different region of Russia over here in the Caspian Sea. And I forgot to turn down tolerance, my bad. Over here in the Caspian Sea, looking like this, with them actually taking over this major city as well. And there's one more pocket that will just pop out. And these are all because of what happened after the First World War. These three groups were not happy that they just gave up. They wanted Russia to actually fight, but obviously Russia didn't. And now you have to see the communist groups, which start over here on the Finnish and Baltic border, taking over all of these lands, starting over here in this major city as well. And then finally, popping out in these two major cities. And actually, we will see the first invasion from one of these groups happen. And this group is getting pretty far in from what their borders of their rebellion look like. And they're actually getting really close to the Russian capital. And now these two are fighting to connect up and also make it harder for Russia to reach these areas, which works, and now they take over all of these lands like that. And seeing all of this, Crimea seeing all of this land falling, will invade Russia to try and regain their old lands that they had once lost. Now, if we go back 10 episodes, maybe, we can remember that the Russians attacked Crimea and fully annexed Crimea, but Crimea came back as this area. But anyways, and now we have to see the other ideologies. One will be Scandinavian socialism, and the other being a monarchy. So, the Scandinavian socialist rebellions will mainly start over here. And they're getting pretty big. Now, this entire island, it doesn't have many people, but they're all in support of this rebellion. So they will grow this rebellion group as big as it can before they start their invasion, which we will not cover yet because they still have other stuff to do, which is one of them being they also rebel over here, taking over all of these lands and spilling out over here a little. But then they realize Russia doesn't have that land because there's like nobody over there besides like 15 people. But now we will see the monarchy group and what they will be attempting to take. So their main group, which will be over here, it does not have any major cities in its area, but they aren't trying to go for major cities. They're trying to encircle, cut off the Russians from the north, so then they can take that area. And now they do take their first capital with this rebellion starting, which when this rebellion starts, all the people in this area feel like they're being surrounded, and then they just decide to join the rebellion of the monarchy. And then, yeah, all of this land is the start of the monarchist rebellion. And then the monarchist rebellion, which has all connected up now, will invade into mainly these areas, pushing to connect up to the group of anarchists who they decide they don't want to be over here in Russia. So they will start fighting the anarchists. And the anarchists, by far, are the weakest of these rebellions. So, seeing this, the Scandinavian socialist group will decide just to attack them. And now they will start their own invasion of the actual Russian lands. And they actually get pretty close to connecting up with their other group. But that is until the monarchy decides to cut them off. And what happens when the monarchy cuts them off? Well, fighting. They start to fight. And with all of these guys being distracted, and these guys probably being the strongest, even though they're the smallest of all these groups, which it's because they have 3 major cities and the other groups only have 2 and 1. So, yeah, they will decide to make a deal with the Crimeans, looking like they'll take out all these lands, and then the Crimeans can get however much of the rest of the south as they want, which is this area. And Crimea tells the Great Ankara Empire and the Azerbaijanis to also join in on this war because they have decently good relations with these two countries and want to actually become allies with them. And so the Azerbaijanis take over that, and then the Ankarans will get that. And seeing all of this, the monarchists realize that they have to make a push fast if they don't want to be cut off. And so they end up taking pretty much all of that land. And then it looks like this. But Crimea is one of the strongest groups in this war because they already are a country. And now this will not go good for Russia as they just end up fully collapsing. So, what will this peace treaty look like? Well, let's go all the way back to before there was any groups. And now we will see the peace treaty. So in this peace treaty, this is now what the split of Russia looks like. They split into 4 new countries, well, 3 new countries plus this one. So yeah, 4 new countries. And Crimea got land, the Ankarans, the Azerbaijanis got land, and yeah. So we will now go ahead and see. Oh yeah, I was doing provinces, and then I accidentally forgot to save the map one time. And so now all those provinces I did are gone. But now we will see all of the new exploration and colonization that will be happening, which we will see all of these lands up here getting to be discovered and stuff. So peak. But with all of this happening, Finland this whole time actually had finally made a landing over here in Antarctica. Now this was a long time coming because they had already discovered Antarctica. They just hadn't done anything over here. So their colony looks something like so. And what I see done this, which is fully disappeared. And now we see, yeah, they fully disappeared. And now we will see what the more expansion I said would be, which we will see these guys going ahead over here in the Kazakh areas, taking over that. And now these guys actually have been getting worse and worse relations, looking like this. What do I mean looking like this? I mean they start invading the red team, and it gets to a point where the yellow team is very much not liked anymore because all of these Central Asian countries liked the red team. So the light brown country will lead the charge of saving the red team. And that looks like this. And so, boom, boom, boom. They decide on peace. And then the yellow team says, well, okay, then we will expand into more land. Since there's no more threat of Russia, we'll expand into these lands as well. So now, this is the yellow team. And now, the Pakistani country sees that they need to stop this, and actually that's way too long, so boom. And yeah, the Pakistani country sees that they need to attempt to stop the aggressive expansion of this yellow country. I'm actually gonna darken the color of the yellow country just by a few, so you can actually tell a difference between that. And now the Persians are like, okay, that's enough, and so they decide to expand. And yeah, the Persians, out of any country, have been very, very peaceful. They have not done much in a while. And what does that mean? It means that they're gonna invade a country, and that country is this country over here. It's not the old Caspian team that disappeared after like episode 9 or something, or not 9, a different episode that I forget. But the Persians will start invading, and don't get me wrong, these guys have a military, so they are fighting back, but like super tiny, like on the 5 brush scale. And they actually make the tiniest encirclement ever, which had no Persian troops left over there. And now, what does that mean? They just wasted their troops. And now that capital is gone, and now it's just the most valuable areas left. But without their capital, they aren't valuable. Well, to the purple team, because now they can't do anything, because their whole army was south. And now we see that this area isn't being invaded, because, well, the Persians have plans for that area, I'll say. But pretty quickly, this country's the weaker one, so the Persians will go ahead and quickly invade, taking these guys out. And actually, they will do the same thing to this country, which is leave a tiny area. They're leaving like tiny groups for these countries to still exist. Like so, they will still have a border. And actually, over here, they give these most northern lands over to these guys. And now for the peace treaty. And what will happen in the peace treaty? Well, real quick, let me just go all the way back. Boom. Boom. And then boom. Plus boom. So in this peace treaty, if we check, yes, tiles, not provinces, guys, tiles. Yep. But now we will see the capital of this country move over to this one that they literally just got from their ally. And yeah, so that's funny. And now the Persians will go ahead and expand more. And the reason they're doing this is because they were scared that they would fall off of the, fall off in terms of their placement on the board. On the board. Yes, guys, on the board. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. But now we will see the union between these three countries. No, I'm kidding. But in reality, if they did have a union, they would have three capitals. And even if they don't have a union, it would still be three capitals. So they will decide to do a three-way war with the yellowy green country being the one that invades these guys invading them, and the purple country invading these guys. And what country will win? Well, first off, these guys will blitz through these areas over here. And then when they reach the capital, they can't do anything because there was a pushback, and that pushback makes them not be able to stop the pushback because it's a pushback. And pushbacks aren't pushbackable from a pushback. But they will now invade these lands, and then they will realize that they're cooked, and so they say, Pink France, attack me, please. Pink France says, don't worry, I was already gonna do that. And now Pink France decides, boom, 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 and also boom, 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 boom. Oh no. Boom. So what happens in this union? Woohoo! So yes, in the end, they did have a union. And they will only have two capitals. Because I don't want them to have three. And this is the financial capital. This is the political capital. And what happens with the two greatest colonies of all time? Nothing. Why are they the two greatest colonies of all time? I don't know. I just decided to say that. But what happens over here? The Portuguese and Galicians ended up discovering South America. Why? Because they wanted to go south. They wanted to go south and see if they could trade with people over here that they heard of. And guys, just so you know, this is the 1600s, I'd say. No, not the 1600s. That's way too early for World War. The 1750s. Yeah, the 1750s. Now we will see them going over here. And what is that? New country? New country? Oh my gosh, it's a new country. And what do the Portuguese and Galicians say? Okay, we won't mess with them. They know this area better than us. And then they decide to become friends. And yeah, these guys are cooking on the colonization. Because they decide to go over here. And the Portuguese and Galicians both are each other's homies, so they will end up just fully discovering this area together, and now they will make their colonies. And of course, they haven't told any other countries about this place yet. because they don't want this area taken from them. And once they establish good colonies over here, then and only then will they tell the others. And now they are seeing how great this land is because it has so many resources, and this makes them so excited. And yeah, so the Portuguese set up their colony in these areas, looking like that. And also now we will have to see the Galician colony in Galicia getting a big portion of land over here. And look at that, they're what they want to do is running away. But now they make those two colonies, and now they'd say those are good enough colonies that they can tell others. And now the world will go into a frenzy, and now we are going into the age of colonization. So, seeing this, we will actually just see the Scottish go on a rampage of trying to explore over here, and they do a really good job actually fully surrounding Greenland and explored land. And then they will, what are you doing? And then they will have also gotten a great amount of land discovered, which Ireland figures out about all this stuff up here. And so Ireland's like, hey, I want in on some of that. True. But Scotland's like, but we don't want you to. And Ireland's like, we don't care. We're joining in on this too. And the Scottish know that now, after the First World War, that they can't do anything. And so, yeah, the Scottish will take over all of that. And the Irish take over all of these lands, which the Scottish really wanted, but they were too far to reach it yet. And with the Irish landing over here, they say, okay, you can have the rest of this place. We don't want the rest. And Scotland's like, thank you, I guess. And so Scotland ends up exploring all of it. And yeah, also that happens. And like that. And so since that all happened, and since this land doesn't really have much stuff, like stuff as in, I mean people. I don't know why I said that, because Greenland has a lot of resources. And Ireland decides that it would be funny to bully Scotland, because after Scotland takes all of that and these islands all around here, the Irish decide to just land over here and say, oops, sorry, we wanted that place too. And now, This is where the Scottish are getting really, really annoyed. But again, they can't do anything. And actually, this country that formed last episode, it's like, yo, Ireland, do you want to attack Scotland? And Ireland says, I mean, we're having tensions with Scotland, but no, not really. And England says, yes, because they didn't help me in the World War. And so England lands in the capital. And then these guys just say it was a test. And then they invade these guys. How does that even happen? How does the purple team on the British Isles end up defeating two stronger countries? Well, it's their strategy in it. So, like, all of the English troops were up here invading. And during that, these guys blocked off the ability for these guys to communicate to the others, and then they just started slowly taking more and more land. And the whole part of this was that they already told Scotland their plan, and that they were joking about actually wanting to take out Scotland. And so now Scotland is back and England is fully taken over, and Scotland fully approved of the purple country's idea in that. And so and now these guys will fully annex the English country. And how is this possible when the English country is like 2 times the size? They were funded by the Scottish. And yeah. So now they are the superpower of the British Isles, I'll say. But over here in the New World, we will see the countries that have formed over time, not from colonies, but just from them forming. And yeah, so over here we will see all of these countries. Well, not countries yet because I haven't shown them, but we will see all the explored lands over here in North America. And these countries will look like, first, this country over here in the New Brunswick areas, and they have taken over all of that. Now we will go ahead and see the second country, which is not that much distance away from the New Brunswick country. Actually, they pretty much border them. They just barely don't yet. But yeah. And now they decide to border the New Brunswick country. And yep, looking like that. And so now we see, okay, no, these borders are ugly. They will just take over all of that, and these guys take that. And okay, oh my gosh, straight line, no. So this is what these borders look like. And over here in these areas, we will see the strongest country out of these guys and what they look like. So these guys, real quick, let me make more land, explore it over here. Alright, these guys have a massive amount of land looking like that. So, well, massive, I don't know if they're bigger than the New Brunswick country. It's really close. I'll say that this country's bigger, but just barely. But this will be the final event of this episode. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in